The December 7th, 2020 Minneapolis City Planning Commission may now begin.
Thank you very much. I'll call to order the December 7, 2020 City Planning Commission hearing. My name is Sam Rockwell. I serve as president of the commission, and I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll to establish quorum.
Caprini?
Aye.
Smiley?
Aye. I mean, here.
Lipke-Pier?
Here.
Marwa? Meyer?
Here.
Olson?
Here.
Schrader will be a little late, and Sweezy? Rockwell?
Yeah, sorry. Here.
So we have 6 commissioners present.
Very good. We have quorum. Next, I will ask for a motion to approve items 3 and 4 on our agenda, which is the acceptance of the November 16th, 2020 Planning Commission hearing minutes and the committee of the whole consent agenda on November 19th. Commissioner Meyer.
Thank you. So I want to split off the minutes because I wanted to talk about them and propose to table those because I guess we haven't been recording motions that fail. So at the last meeting, there was at least one motion that failed, and I went back to look that up, and there was no documentation about it. I feel that we should be recording those, and I was really surprised that we haven't been up to now. So I would move to table the November 16th minutes.
All right, I'll take that then as a motion, not on the full suggested motion, but a motion to continue approval of the minutes to say our next City Planning Commission hearing, and you could bring forth a discussion at the committee of the whole if we continue. Does that sound good?
Yes.
All right, so we have a motion to continue the approval of the minutes. Is there a second? Commissioner Olson.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to continue approval of minutes to discuss what is regularly included in those minutes. Any further discussion? All right, clerk, please call the roll.
Caprini?
Aye.
Smiley?
Aye.
Lipke-Pier?
Aye.
Meyer?
Aye.
Olson?
Aye.
That's 5-0.
Wait, this is Marwa. I'm here too. Aye.
Sorry, I didn't get you on the attendance call, but okay, I got you down. So that's 6-0.
Well, you didn't. Lisa, I don't think you got me, Sweezy.
Sorry, I didn't get you for the attendance call either. Okay, that's 6 or 7-0 then.
Well, except on this one, I'm voting no.
Oh, okay, I got you down. So we have Mara, were you aye on that one?
Yes, I was.
Okay, so then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 yeses and 1 no.
Okay, very good. That motion carries. Welcome, Commissioners Sweezy and Morrow, to the meeting. Next, I'll accept a motion to approve the Committee of the Whole consent agenda. Do we have a motion? Commissioner Smiley.
I move to approve the Committee of the Whole consent agenda.
Thank Thank you, Commissioner Olson.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, clerk, please call the roll.
Caprini,
Aye.
Smiley,
Aye.
Livkeeper,
Aye.
Marwa,
Aye.
Meyer,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
and Sweezy.
Aye.
So that's 7-0.
All right, that motion carries. Our next order of business is to organize and arrange the agenda for tonight's hearing. For those of you on the line, I will walk through the full agenda. If you wish to speak against staff recommendation or to amend staff recommendation, please speak up. Otherwise, we will likely place the item on our consent agenda and approve as a block. So if you wish to testify against staff recommendation or to amend staff recommendation, please do speak up. You need to hit *6 to unmute yourself, and you also need to check that you are unmuted on your own device. Item number 5 is the Snelling Yards redevelopment, 3601 44th Street East in Ward 12. That is approval of final plat. Anyone wishing to contest staff's recommendation on item number 5? Hearing no one, I'll place item number 5 on consent. Item number 6 is 1300 West Lake Street in Ward 10. An RLS registered land survey on that project. Is anyone wishing to speak against staff recommendations on item number 6? That's item number 6 on consent. Item number 7 is 5621 Woodlawn Boulevard in Ward 11. We will be continuing item number 7 to the January 11th, 2021 Planning Commission hearing. That is one cycle. Item number 8, 31 4th Avenue South and 411 31st Street East in Ward 9. Is anybody wishing to speak to 3101 4th Avenue South? I will place item number 8 on our consent agenda. Item number 9 is 604 to 606 Jefferson Street Northeast and 649 to 651 Spring Street Northeast in Ward 3. Anybody wishing to speak on this subdivision?
Are they dancing there? Hello?
I'm sorry? Yes. Would you like to speak on the Jefferson Street Northeast and Spring Street Northeast subdivision? No. Okay. Item number 9 on consent. Item number 10 is the North Point Health and Wellness Center, 1319 and 1349 Penn Avenue North and 2200 Plymouth Avenue North in Ward 5. Expansion of North Point Health and Wellness Centers. Anybody wishing to speak against staff recommendations on item number 10? Hearing no one, we'll place item number 10 on our consent agenda. Item number 11 is 3308 Lindell Avenue South in Ward 10. We will be discussing item number 11. Item number 12 is Carmel Square, 200 West Lake Street and 2910 Pillsbury Avenue in Ward 10, and expansion / new construction as part of the Carmel complex. Is anybody wishing to speak to against staff recommendations on item number 12? All right, so our agenda as amended is item number 11 on our discussion agenda. We'll continue item number 7 one cycle to January 11th, 2021 hearing. And on our consent agenda are items number 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, and 12. Commissioners, could I get a motion to approve the agenda as amended? Commissioner Smiley.
A motion to approve the agenda as amended with item 7 continuing to January 11th and discussing item 11 and on consent all the rest of the items.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner Olson.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Caprini,
Aye.
Smiley,
Aye.
Lipke-Peer,
Aye.
Marwa,
Aye.
Meyer,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
and Sweezy.
Aye.
7-0.
Very good. The agenda is approved. Next, I'll open the public hearing on the consent agenda. Does anybody wish to speak to any of the items on the consent agenda? 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, and 12. Hearing nobody, I will close the public hearing on the consent agenda. Commissioners, could I get a motion to approve the consent agenda? Commissioner, is that Commissioner Olson, or am I looking at your old? Commissioner Smiley.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Can I get a second? Commissioner Olson.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Caprini,
Aye.
Smiley,
Aye.
Lipke-Peer,
Aye.
Marwa,
Aye.
Meyer,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Sweezy.
Aye.
7-0.
Very good. That motion carries. And next, could I get a motion to continue item number 7, one cycle to January 11th, 2021? Commissioner Olson.
So moved.
Commissioner Smiley.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Caprini,
Aye.
Smiley,
Aye.
Lipke-Peer,
Aye.
Marwa,
Aye.
Meyer,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
and Sweezy.
Aye.
7-0.
Very good. That motion carries. Next, we'll move to our discussion agenda. First up is 3308 Lindale Avenue South in Ward 10. Staff is Peter. Peter, floor is yours.
Good evening, commissioners. This project is located at 3308 Lindale Avenue South in the South Uptown neighborhood, adjacent to the Lindale neighborhood, with frontage along Lindale Avenue South and with access to a shared residential alley at the rear. The site is currently zoned for the OR1 district. Under Minneapolis 2040, the land use guidance for the site is urban neighborhood, and the built form guidance for the site is corridor 4. The lot has a square footage of 4,744 square feet, and it is currently occupied by a single family home. The applicant is proposing to demolish the existing structure on the site in order to construct a new 3-story, 4-unit building. Several applications are required to accomplish this, one of which is a conditional use permit to exceed the maximum building height in the OR1 district from 2.5 stories to 35 feet. from 2.5 stories, 35 feet to 3 stories, 33 feet. The application also requires a variance to the established front yard from 25 feet to 16 feet, and a variance to reduce the minimum lot area from a multiple family dwelling in the OR1 district from 5,000 square feet to 4,744 square feet. And then site plan review for a new 4-unit building. The applicant had originally applied for a variance to reduce the north interior side yard along the north property line. They have since adjusted their plans to comply with the code in that location, so we are recommending that we return that application. You can go to the next slide. This is the landscape plan showing the layout of the proposed structure on the site. As you can see, the 2 existing homes to the north and south are set back significantly from the property line, creating an established front yard of 25 feet, which the applicant is requesting to vary to reduce to 16. The applicant is proposing 4 on-site surface parking stalls at the rear of the site, accessed via the shared alley, and an on-site pedestrian pathway that would connect the 2 principal entrances. There's a principal entrance proposed along the front of the building facing Lindale Avenue South, and the rear of the building facing the shared alley. Go to the next slide. This is a survey showing the placement of that existing single-family home on the site. Next slide. And elevations of the proposed structure. The applicant is proposing fiber cement as the primary exterior building material and is requesting alternative compliance to the site plan review standards to use more fiber cement than would typically be allowed by the exterior building material standards. Next slide. And we can go to the last slide, actually. Just to see a rendering of the proposed structure. So again, 3 stories, 4 units. The units are somewhat larger, so the structure is somewhat larger than you might expect for a 4-unit building. I will pause there and take any questions.
Commissioners, are there questions for staff? Commissioner Lipke-Peer.
Yeah, Peter, I had a question regarding that alternative compliance. Well, actually 2 questions. And number 1, because the rendering doesn't quite match the elevation, so I'm wondering which is the current version. But secondly, regarding the alternative compliance about exterior building materials, I didn't see that listed on the applications. At least it didn't pop out to me. Is staff recommending approval of that request, or is staff recommending that we stick to the required guidelines?
Yes, alternative compliance would be listed under the site plan review standards. So it's a part of the site plan review application. We are recommending approval of that for this building, given that it is somewhat smaller in scale than many of the multifamily buildings that we apply these standards to, and is integrated within a context of largely single and 2-family homes, on which fiber cement is a much more common material, and site plan review standards for those smaller scale buildings would allow for an all fiber cement exterior. So we felt that this was character appropriate and would work with this scale of building.
Okay, and then Peter, because I guess I'm looking, and on my copy of the agenda, it actually, the site plan review conditions, it starts at condition number 9 and it goes through 14, but I don't have 1 through 8. So my apologies, it's not showing up on my agenda. So that would be maybe why I'm not seeing it. Thank you.
I'm not sure.
Oh,
happened there,
in regard to the rendering versus the elevations, do you know which is the actual one that's being proposed?
Yeah, the elevations were updated after the rendering was created, so the elevations are the accurate depiction of the material layout and windows.
And can you just indicate really quickly, because it's hard to tell because they're so tiny and it's all black and white. Is it a mixture of panel and lap siding, or what is it that they're actually proposing?
Yeah, the darker area is fiber cement lap siding, and then the lighter area is fiber cement panel.
Thank you so much.
Commissioners, any further questions for staff before we hear from the applicant? I was going to say Commissioner Baldwin, Honorary Commissioner Baldwin, Clerk Baldwin.
You're funny. Regarding Alyssa's comments about the agenda, I just looked at mine too, and the conditions do start at like 9. There's nothing missing. It's just it got misnumbered when it was copied and pasted. It looks like.
So
Very good.
condition 9 would be condition 1 then.
Right.
Yeah.
Equivalent to.
There should be only six conditions total.
Then sorry to like pop in there, but then which condition is it that talks about the exterior materials? Because I don't see it in any of the 6 that are shown.
There's no condition related to that. It's just an alternative compliance measure. So you would grant alternative compliance by approving the site plan review as recommended. We would condition it if we wanted them to change something that was proposed. But.
Got it. Thanks.
Further questions, comments, clarifications, etc. Very good. I will open the public hearing then and ask the applicant to unmute and introduce themselves first and introduce the full applicant team and provide any further context for the application if they so desire. Do we have the applicant on the line?
This is Chadley Copenaber.
Yeah.
I'll turn yours down.
Feedback.
Turn yours all the way down. Can you hear me okay now?
It's still very. Do you have a feed coming in that's getting picked up by your microphone?
I actually pushed *6 also. I did too.
All right. Okay, there are a number of people who pressed it. So if you're not the applicant, if you can remute yourself, I think the feedback's coming from your ends here, and then we can only have one person unmuted, or everyone has to have their headphones in. All right.
This is Peter. I checked in with the applicant to see if they were able to register. I didn't hear back, and I don't see them on the list. So unless they're on the line now, I don't have confirmation that they have registered.
Got it. Okay. Then we will take our lack of applicant piping up as an indication that they are not, in fact, on the line, and we will move on to our other public testimony. First up is Barbara Meyer. Barbara Meyer, if you can unmute yourself if you're on the line by pressing *6 and introduce yourself, name and address for the record, and go ahead and provide your comments.
Hello, this is Barbara Meyer. I live at 3312 Lindale Avenue South, and I'm calling in just with some concerns about this project. The structure proposed to be built at 3308, as the homeowner directly next door, the conditional use permit and variances requested will have a negative effect on the use and enjoyment of our property, including loss of the rear and front yard sight lines, a diminished sense of security with the inability to see down our alley, loss of privacy. According to zoning ordinance 525.500 number 3, the proposed variance will not alter the essential character of the locality or be injurious to the use or enjoyment of other property in the vicinity. If granted, the proposed variance will not be detrimental to the health, safety, or welfare of the general public or of those utilizing the property or nearby properties. So I would like to say about that, a 3-story building extending almost to the alley next door would certainly create a safety issue, impeding our ability to see the alley and call out suspicious behavior, which has happened a number of times. The crime rate in our area has been increasing, so this is a big concern for me. The large footprint of the plan reduces green space, offers very limited area where tenants might hang out and interact with neighbors. There's no storage area, so where will tenants store things like bikes and strollers? There isn't a plan for trash, recycling, and compost bins. A large number of trees and shrubs is perhaps giving a nod to green space, so that I can appreciate, but will they overhang the neighboring properties and the public sidewalk? 4 small parking stalls in the back is inadequate, and street parking is already very tight, especially with the park across the street, which is very active in warmer months, and snow plowing in winter months. And will these stalls be assigned, or will alley traffic increase while tenants are seeking a spot? My concern with the structure is its size. I would prefer to be able to work with the builder, and maybe he can build a structure within current codes without needing 3 variances and a conditional use permit. A duplex or even a triplex adds density without overstepping the small lot size. Again, I refer to zoning ordinance 525-500, number 1. Practical difficulties exist in complying with the ordinance because of circumstances unique to the property. The unique circumstances were not created by persons presently having an interest in the property and are not based on economic concerns alone. I would argue that every 8-acre site in Minneapolis would have difficulty in complying with the ordinance to densify this much, so it is not a unique situation. Circumstances were directly created by the developer wanting to put a 16-bedroom building on an 8-acre property. So this appears to me to be indeed driven by economic considerations. Our neighborhood, South Uptown neighborhood, had no chance to vote on this. Mr. Singh was scheduled to attend a land use and transportation committee meeting, but he did not show up. I would just love to have some good faith about this and have the developer work with the neighbors. We're a great neighborhood, and it would be nice to have some great neighbors come in. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for that testimony. Next up is Chadley Kopenhauer.
Okay, I'm gonna unmute so you can mute.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, this is Chadley.
Go ahead, please state your name and address for the record, and go ahead and provide your comments.
Can you turn it? Well, greetings everyone, and thank you for letting me speak. I appreciate that. I also appreciate Mr. Crandall helping me out with getting me information and being very quick to respond, and I do respect that and appreciate it. I am Barbara's husband. I live in 3312, which is just the south of 3308. And I wanted to give you a little background. I did send an attachment, and I'm just going to kind of quickly go through these points that Barbara made some very good points, and I'm just going to add on a couple more details. But the history of us and myself is that we bought this house about 25 years ago, and they were trying to get the single family homes bought up, and we had the city even had a take back credit thing that we took advantage of and saved us a lot of money. So basically what we wanted to do was fix up this house, and that's what we've been doing. I was involved in several traffic committees, looked at one side traffic up in the Hennepin corridor of South Hennepin, looked at putting in more lights at Bryant Square Park, was not involved, but I did see some of the workings of Lindale Avenue and some of the reasons why they did the remodel on Lindale. And from our perspective, it was to make a distinct change from a commercial zone to a more of a neighborhood zone, calming the traffic. And if any of you remember, or if you did drive on that road, it was crazy. You'd stay in the left lane as long as you could and then quick get to the right-hand lane because there weren't any turning lanes. So I'm concerned about the city's decision-making and its ability to react. And I also was a public school teacher, so I understand the money piles and how quickly things move within the government. So I'm not that naive to think that we can do good things. So that being said, some of the projects that I have been a part of or have come witness of seem to just, I don't know, they don't get to pan out, and then something else comes along. And basically it's just the flavor of the month, and it causes a lot of problems for people who actually live here. So I have some concerns. I'd like to say that I really appreciate the work that Mr. Singh put into the plans. I find some of the renderings, they're appealing, but they're not realistic. They're renderings, and they don't show the houses next to it, which would show that the size of this is a little bit of an abrupt transition in our neighborhood. So I have a concern about the height variance, and my concerns are just the environment that we live in and how that's going to get closed off. My biggest concern about the height is the fact that we basically will be losing the privacy of our backyard. And I don't know what, I guess a question would be to the board is what value to put on my personal right to my privacy that I have obtained. And so that price, that value, I don't know what that is, but I'm losing it for however long we remain in the house if this continues to be moved forward. So that's one of the conditional use, and I think the roof line has to be moved up, and that's why they have to go up that high to put living space in that area. But I'm not sure, but I think part of that reasoning is the building is too big for what is sized there. I don't understand the B variance for the yard because the information is basically that they did something and they changed it, and I can't see the change on the plan.
And I'll hop in and I'm going to interrupt you on the B variance.
Sure.
The B variance is actually getting returned to the applicant, which means that it's not going through. So things have been adjusted. So so that is actually a kind of a moot point at this point.
Okay, but just for clarity, it was just what is the actual rule on that as far as how close you can build to the other property?
We can have staff talk to that in a little bit. Why don't you finish your
Okay,
testimony?
I'm sorry. I'll move on.
No, it's okay.
And then the variance C is was discussed briefly by Barbara, but our sight lines and the reality of where we live is those setbacks are wonderful there because Lindale's loud and busy and dirty, and for us to live here comfortably with the sound and all of the increased density that's going to be happening and has been happening, we'd like that as a buffer. And this is going to set precedent to move all of those as far up into the front as they can. So I'm not happy about that part of it. And then variance D, my concern for variance D are exactly as spoken by Barbara, but my concern is that if that goes forward, it's going to set a precedent for all of our lots in this neighborhood. And once that goes, then you're going to see the incentive to build giant apartment buildings in our neighborhood, and that's going to change it. And the ramifications of that will be people will move out. Property values will either go up or they'll go down, and it's a lot of chaos to obtain tax revenue, and there's no guarantee that you're going to fill 4 units next door the way that they're planned out without storage, small bedrooms, no real plan for where you're going to put garbage containers and recycling containers and compost containers. There's no plan as far as I can see of where the air conditioning units or the HVAC units will be, if they'll be on the roof or if they'll be in the yard making noise next to our house. I'm not clear about that. And I have concerns about that stuff because it will affect myself. And yeah, I'm kind of drifting. So I'm kind of emotional about this, and so I just want to make sure that on number D, there is some confusion that I think the board can speak to on on the reality that if Mr. Singh did want to compromise and possibly build a duplex or a triplex and make it fit in there without any of the variance breakage, or adjust it in a more transitional way, he's still, I think, from my understanding, I still think he's going to have to pull a permit to make, because of all the lot sizes for OR1 are 5,000. And I don't know if that's just a, just round it up to a 5,000, or if it actually is mathematically equated out to the property size appropriation for people to live on. So I'm not sure where that's coming from, but it is rather confusing. And that's a big part of Variance D that I'm concerned with. I mentioned the site. There is some issue with the board recommending some barriers between the parking area and the neighbors to the south and to the north. That needs to be discussed, I think, with Mr. Singh and ourselves, as far as like the reality of actually pulling a car in without running the fence up to the alley. I think I would like to work with them on those kind of things. Let's see, the lighting
All right,
plan.
and please,
I'm not
please
sure if
wrap
I'm going
up
to have
too.
lights
Thank you.
going on or off. Pardon?
I
Pardon
said,
me?
please wrap up as well. There's a few other people on list to testify too, so thank you.
Okay. So, yeah, I'm concerned about that. And then my questions are why they weren't brought up in the initial process of this. I'm concerned about the water runoff by an increase of 70% more impervious. And just to conclude, the project goal is too aggressive in meeting the needs of the 2040 plan and pushing this project the open precedent of approving projects that force change and nullify previous attempts of making needed change for our city. A radical change in our community may have unwanted negative effects on density increase. Considering the state of our city, the pressure to reduce our policing budget, density increases balanced with a dynamic approach of a thoughtful transition may better meet neighborhood community needs and make gains to slowly increase our community population. Losing our backyard privacy will affect our lives for the entire period we remain in our home. But more costly would be than envisioning a rendering of our block showing a row of multiplexes from the front yard to the back, reducing green space and the spirit and character of our block. We have a petition that has about 137 signatures that are pushing back against this. So I'm Chadley Copenaver, and that's what I have to say currently. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Next up is Jerome Chateau. Please press *6 to unmute.
Yes, good evening. Thank you for letting me speak. I'm Jerome Chateau. I'm at 3304 DuPont in South Uptown, and I'm the chair of the land use committee of our neighborhood. And we saw that project coming to us in last October. Unfortunately, Mr. Singh never showed up to give us any feedback, so we just had a discussion with the elements we had, and actually we had the impression that it was approved by right, and therefore it was just a very theoretical discussion. It seems that it's not exactly the case. I won't dwell into the details, but I will give you the gist of our discussion. We didn't take a position approve it is approved on this project, and so we don't have a joint statement to I don't have a joint statement to pass on. So, but we had mixed feelings about it. Many of us thought it was very, very massive, and too massive for this type of situation. On the other hand, and I'm switching now to my more of my personal visions, but that I've already explained to this commission in the past. Actually, I think in this block, what's been allowed and what will be allowed, it is really problematic. And these structures, this massive railroad structures that go from front to end, are really going to create a very poor land use model, given the the future needs of our cities. Again, I want to reiterate that I'm totally in favor of density, and so is our committee. But this succession of the model we're going towards right now is an accumulation of this type of structure next to each other, destroying the green space in the back, and recreating the New Jersey suburban model of the 50s with only 1 or 2 yards between two structures. That's where we're heading right now, and this is the beginning of it. And it's probably not exactly what we all wish for. I think we all want more density, but we want something more measured, more dense. I think it would have been better to merge two houses and even possibly build higher. I don't know. Possibly, I think so. In the meantime, we are facing this situation, as unfortunate as it is. So I am urging this commission to do whatever is possible to make that building less massive. And I think we'll have to, the city and the neighborhoods have to engage in more discussion in how we're going to transition from this single family unit blocks towards more density without creating each time all this aggravation and acrimony within neighborhoods. I'm afraid we're going to see more and more of that. And it's all the more frustrating for someone like me interested in land use and obviously more density in the city, because while in the meantime, this city is sitting with surface lots all over downtown, all over the neighborhoods, and nothing is happening there. There's no rules and no provisions to change that. Some of them have been sitting for 70 years, and they could sit there for another 70 years with right now no possibility and no project to tax them, so that they finally build and bring density and stop bringing basically death spaces to our cities. So it's again bringing all this stress, all this density in what are still residential neighborhoods with low density, while in the meantime we have clearly a land that is completely underused. It is a problem. I understand this is not what you're going to vote today, but this is something to keep in mind. And as you're going to vote on this project, I think I invite you to look at the whole thing on one hand, and also the life of these people in this block and how we're going to transition. So I'm urging you to reduce the size of this building as much as possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that testimony. Next up is Colleen Day.
Hello?
Yes, please state your name and address for the record. And
hi. Hello. My name is Colleen Day. My house is 3304 Lindale Avenue South. And I have been listening to the comments. I really like what Barbara and Chadley had to say, and the former gentleman. I'm very sad that this is Aya and August's legacy. The people, the elderly couple that passed away, that had a beautiful rose garden that I talk to every day. I'm very sad that this is their legacy. Myself and approximately 136 other people would like to see a reduced scope of the 3308 project. We are vested in our homes. I have many reasons. Safety, the sight lines, the traffic, the congestion, the parking, the variances, the pushbacks, the density, 4 times the people. Per those plans, what I see is 4 spots for approximately a quarter of that gigantic building. I don't know where all those people are going to park. I'm also concerned about the underground utilities. There's low water pressure. What's going to happen when there's 16 people in that building? What kind of water pressure are they going to have? How about the overhead lines? How about the sight lines? Blocking our sun. so that our snow cannot melt off our rooftops and we can't see. Like Barbara said, the crime in the city. How about digging and excavating? We have old homes. Our homes were built in the early 1900s. What is that going to do? What's that going to do to our foundations? I'm also concerned about not wanting to live next to a gigantic wall at all. I don't think anyone does. I don't think anyone would like that. It's not in keeping with the quaint uptown neighborhood charm. It's going to decrease, in my opinion, decrease our property value, which I'm very concerned about because once again, I'm vested like the other neighbors. I wonder how much of a lot can be covered by this structure. There's restrictions in St. Louis Park. Why can this guy just take up the whole entire lot? It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm really upset about this. It feels to me that you're going to move solid homeowners out to the suburbs and put people in that aren't vested and able to watch the neighborhood. It just feels like that to me. There's a lot of vacant business buildings due to the pandemic and the environment the pandemic and the economy. Why can't he get out one of those buildings and do this? Not everyone rides a bike. And so I'm not sure how this is all going to work. People that go to work, people that go to the doctor, parents with children, picking them up from a swim meet. They're not all going to get on a bicycle. That doesn't make any sense. So I'm sorry, I'm very upset about this. I am really, really upset about this. This does not seem like a good plan at all. 4 times the density. My house has 4 people in it. It is not a traditional duplex. It's very small. It has a very small footprint. 2,000 square feet or less. It is not 7,500 square feet. This is ridiculous. It is. It's ridiculous. Thank you for listening. I am upset. I am upset. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on this item on the line? Please.
Chair Rockwell, I believe that the applicant has signed on now, so we could call on the applicant to provide comments.
Sure. If the applicant is on the line, wishes to speak, by all means. Is the applicant on the line?
And I'll just remind the applicant that it's *6 to unmute.
It's emblazoned in all of our brains, but
hello?
Not everyone is here every week. Yes. Is the applicant
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes. Please introduce yourself, and if you wish to provide any further context, go ahead.
Hi, yeah, my name is AJ, and I am the applicant. I just joined, and I did not have this meeting planned, or I didn't have information about it, but yeah.
Very good. Was there anything in particular that you wanted to provide to the commission as information, just as we consider your applications? If not, Peter gave an overview before you were able to join, and we obviously all read your application.
Yes. So yeah, I've been working with Peter, and all the information I have given to Peter.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you for introducing yourself. Is there anybody else wishing to testify on this item? If so, please press *6 to unmute. All right, hearing nobody, I will close the public hearing. Commissioners, we have 5 applications before us. Is there any discussion or comments? Commissioner Meyer.
I move to approve items A, C, D, and E with the 6 stated conditions, and to return item B.
All right, we have a motion to approve and return all the various staff, the various applications consistent with staff recommendation. Do we have a second? Commissioner Olson.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Commissioner Meyer.
Yeah, so this is zoned corridor 4 in the 2040 plan, which means that once that's fully implemented, which it's not yet, we're in an interim period, but once that's fully implemented, then they would be able to build 4 stories by right, and that entire street from Lake Street to 38th is zoned corridor 4 in the 2040 plan. I think it's an appropriate place to do that. This location is close to several transit stops and seems to be appropriate for higher density. So I feel that these staff recommendations are pretty straightforward, and I will support them.
Thank you, Commissioner Meyer. Commissioner Caprini, question.
Hi, thank you. So I'm just curious about where will the trash be located? I mean, I think that's a great question. I just want to know. And then how will the water be diverted properly? I mean, it's a pretty massive building, but I'm just curious about that. So can somebody tell me? Give me an answer.
Peter or the applicant, I'll ask either staff or the applicant to address those questions.
Yeah, hi, this is Peter.
And also, Peter, if you could too, there's a question from one of the testifiers about what are the side yard requirements, if you could just touch on that as well.
Sure. The applicant did indicate on their site plan a small area for trash collection at the rear of the site. We didn't feel that the detail on that was appropriate to meet the screening standards. So there is a condition attached to the site plan review application that the applicant update that plan to meet the minimum standards there for trash recycling collection and screening. That may mean that they have to adjust their parking plan. I'll point out that this project does not have a minimum parking requirement, so they could potentially even reduce the number of parking spaces to make that work. That's one possible outcome. As far as the water management on the site goes, we don't require any special stormwater management on sites of this size, and for projects of this size, they are meeting the minimum impervious surface requirement, which is the main sort of regulation that would apply to that concern for a project like this. And then
go ahead, sorry.
Oh, and then lastly, on the interior side yard, the minimum requirement under the current code is 9 feet. The applicant had originally proposed a 7-foot setback along the north, but they are adjusting their plans to meet that minimum 9-foot setback.
Right. So I guess my last question, because I'm just curious. So when plans are being developed for buildings this size that are so close in proximity to single family homes, or I guess a home that's built like the one of the speakers said in 1900, how can we be sure that it wouldn't adjust the land to a point where it would upset the house next door to it? Do you know what I mean? Like I don't know. I just could that be an issue? I mean, wouldn't that be a city concern? The foundation, that's what I'm trying to say. The foundation of the houses next to it.
For the construction process?
Yeah.
For the construction process foundation.
Exactly. Thank you. I'm just curious.
Commissioner Caprini. I was going to say that's an element of the project that's reviewed by our colleagues in Construction Code Services as part of the permitting process, as if applicable, the relevant portions of our Public Works team.
Okay, thank you.
That is a question that comes up every once in a while for sure. So thanks for raising it. Commissioner Lukey here.
Yeah, I had a couple questions for Peter and then some comments. So Peter, what is the maximum impervious surface coverage for this lot?
In the OR1, I believe it's 85%.
Oh, wow. And do you know what percentage they're approaching?
68.
68%. Okay, so they were at 50% and now they are up at 68%. And that includes all the parking and the porches and everything, huh?
That's right, yep.
Okay, thanks, Peter. So that's it for my question. I did want to comment on the motions that are in front of us right now. I wish the motions were split because some I would support and some I don't. I guess I would say right now, given the fact that it's currently zoned OR1, I'm not sure that I can make the legal findings for a CUP, given that it asks us to consider additional standards regarding increases to maximum height. And 3 of the 4 actually, I think, are really compelling in this case. One is about access to light and air for surrounding properties. One is shadowing of residential adjacent properties. And one is the scale and character of surrounding uses. And we already know it's out of scale of surrounding uses just because it's already asking for a height increase. But I do think that the structure itself is 80 feet long. I mean, it's an 80-foot long wall that's quite a bit wide along the pretty much most of the lot. So I'm having a hard time thinking that those three of the 4 additional standards related to maximum height CUPs are being met, because it seems as though those are actually very much not being met. So I can't support the conditional use permit. I will say, in addition, I have a hard time supporting variance C, just given the fact that the adjacent structures have greater setbacks of 28 feet and 19.3 feet. They're asking for 16 feet. And then on top of that, another 4 feet into that will be the porch, which means that in reality, the field of the setback will be 12 feet. So I find that really weird, given that we have the string test everywhere else, and that I guess I don't see the practical difficulties that would allow them to have that variance be approved. The third one I probably could be convinced of, just because it's so close to the multifamily minimum lot area. It's not that far off, so a variance D I probably would approve. Site plan review, I do have problems with. I do think that the parking in the back is really egregious. It's 40 feet long and 18 feet plus deep. I mean, that's just a lot of surface parking, and really 18 feet is like just barely a parking stall. So I hope none of their tenants have overly large vehicles, because they'll stick in the alley. So I'm a little bit suspect. I just think it's too large for the lot, and maybe because they're trying to squeeze four bedroom units onto it, I think it's too big. I just simply the porches. My feeling about 4-foot porches in general on every other multifamily building or even single family homes. It's kind of the cheap thing that's done on a lot of our speculative infill. It's a useless porch depth. On the back, maybe it makes sense because it's really just a walkway access to the rear, but in the front, 4 feet is again a person and a chair, not a person or a chair. And so I think that's just a sign that this is too much for this size lot. It needs to be reduced. And if that means some of the bedrooms have to go, I don't care that it's a fourplex, to be honest. I just feel like maybe it's too much of a program for this site. So I cannot support A, C, and E applications. I could be convinced to support variance D. However, thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner Lefebvre. Commissioner Streisand. Commissioner Streisand, if you're talking, you're muted.
Sorry, thank you. Sorry.
You got it.
I'm not going to repeat what Commissioner Lukey-Pierce said, but I find her remarks extremely persuasive, and also feel that this project is at a scale not appropriate for the lot that it's on. So I won't be supporting the motion either.
Perhaps it's me that's muted. Commissioner Smiley.
I was kind of wondering if my internet has
just
stopped working.
Yeah, I'm just like exercising my mouth muscles silently. No, Commissioner Smiley, go ahead.
I also agree with Commissioner Lukey-Pierre and Commissioner Sweezy. The one variance that I have a very hard time with is variance C, because with A, I understand, like similar to what Commissioner Meyer brought up. I don't see how. I think that's reasonable, and but variance C, I'm having a hard time understanding. That's just it just doesn't seem aligned with what's going on in the neighborhood. So I won't be able to support this motion either.
Very good. Commissioner Meyer.
Question for Peter. Can you just let us know, like, if this were to get denied today, which of the different variances would they be approved to get by right after the 2040 plan is implemented? Because I assume that, you know, for the conditional use permit, they wouldn't need to get one after that's implemented. Is that correct, or am I mistaken about that?
Commissioner Meyer, that's correct. The CUP for height would not be necessary under the new built form overlays. The other two variances would still be necessary. So we still have the established front yard to contend with, and the minimum lot area is not, well, we don't know exactly where that will land, but in the staff proposed version of the code, the minimum lot area for multiple family structures is not changing. So that would still require that variance.
Okay, thank you. And then I'm perfectly open to revision to the motion to split it however people think makes the most sense.
Commissioner Meyer, if you want to withdraw the motion and just take each application individually, that's certainly, we could certainly accept that withdrawal.
Sure. So I'll withdraw the motion, and I think the ones that we had consensus on were, so I'd move to return item B, approve item D, and approve item E, consistent with staff recommendations. And then we can take A and C separately.
All right, so we have a motion for items B, D, and E to our including site plan. And that's consistent with staff recommendations. Is that right?
Yes.
Do we have a second on this motion first? Commissioner Wilson.
Second.
All right, we have a second for items B, D, and E consistent with staff recommendations. Commissioner Lipke-Pierre.
Yeah, I guess I still I'm struggling because I'm not on board with E. So I guess I'd prefer if the motion was just to move forward with B and D at the moment and then take the other items individually. But if Commissioner Meyer wants to proceed with all three, then I will be voting no.
I hadn't heard that you had objected to E, but I can revise the motion to remove that. We can have a separate vote on that as well.
Thank you.
All right, I'll take that as an amendment to the motion. Commissioner Olson, do we have a second on that? So a motion to approve items B or to return item B and approve item D.
Yeah, second.
All right, so we've got a motion on B and D consistent with staff recommendation. Commissioner Lipke-Pierre.
Yeah, I just want to say I will be supporting, obviously B, it's a return of a thing, it's housekeeping. But D, I will be supporting the variance for D. I do find that there are practical difficulties, mainly related to the fact that the reason this rule exists has to do with profiteering from land sales and whatnot in the future. And given that this is already an established lot and the zoning for the lot changed, from when it was originally constructed, but it still is a constructed site. I find that and the fact that the square footage is so close, I find it, and in fact does have practical difficulties that would allow me to support this particular variance.
All right, very good. Commissioner Caprini.
Just so I'm clear, we're voting on variance B and D right now. We've separated C and E. Okay, I just want to make sure I heard that correctly.
And we'll take all of the others individually there, so folks can debate and vote on those individually. Okay, so any further discussion of items B and D? All right, clerk, please call the roll.
Caprini?
No.
Smiley?
Aye.
Lipke-Peer?
Aye.
Marwa?
Aye.
Meyer?
Aye.
Olson?
Aye.
Sweezy?
No.
So it's 5 yeses and 2 nos.
Very good. That motion carries. Commissioner Meyer, did you want to proceed?
Yeah.
As the motion maker.
Yep. So I would move to approve item A, the conditional use permit.
We have a motion to approve item A, the conditional use permit for height. Commissioner Wilson.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Very good. Any further discussion on this? Commissioner Meyer.
Yeah, I would just urge approval because denying it, I mean, will just mean a delay, right? Because they'll be able to do it after the 2040 plan is implemented. So I think it makes sense to approve it today.
Very good. Any further comments? All right, clerk, please call the roll.
Caprini?
No.
Smiley?
Aye.
Lipke-Peer?
No.
Marwa?
No. No.
Meyer?
Aye.
Olson?
Aye.
And Sweezy?
No.
That's 3 yeses and 4 nos.
All right, that motion fails. The CUP on height fails. We have 2 more.
I moved. Yeah, I moved to approve item C to reduce the front yard setback from 25 feet to 16 feet.
All right, we have a motion to approve item C consistent with staff recommendations. Any further discussion? Commissioner Meyer.
Well, you need the second first. Right.
Oh, yes, I do. Do I have a second? Do we have a second to the motion? Commissioner Olson.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve item C, front yard setback application consistent with staff recommendation. Commissioner Meyer.
Yeah, I just have a question for staff. So in the report, it says that the minimum front yard setback for a multifamily building in the OR1 district is 15 feet. So I'm trying to understand why it is that this is required in the first place. If it's already at 15 feet, and if you can just speak to your recommendation, please.
Sure. So the minimum setback in the underlying zoning district is 15 feet, but the established front yard is still the minimum based on the setbacks of the 2 properties on either side of the property. We've had a lot of discussion about this along corridors like Lindale, where the land use has changed, land use guidance has changed significantly, and that there will be significant practical difficulties with implementing the future land use and built form guidance in areas of the city that have a very different character and built form character that's established today than what is envisioned in the future. And this is, I think, one of those sites where, you know, we're starting to see a change that brings the area more in line with future built form guidance, but that is conflicting with some of the established built form character.
Okay, and I agree with staff's analysis of that, that we should, you know, bring this in line with the changing character, and I think that makes sense for a busy corridor like this. I mean, if we think about what the function of these setbacks are supposed to be, like it's to give, you know, space for people to have kids playing in the yard, so things like that. But for a really busy corridor like Glendale, that is often space that wouldn't be used because there's so much traffic, so much noise. So I think it makes sense to approve this variance.
Very good. Commissioner Lupke-Pierre.
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in here for a second. I understand Commissioner Meyer's frustration because I, to be honest, professionally have run into frustration with the kind of the string pest setback as opposed to the underlying zoning setback. And wondering why it isn't just, oh, for this it's 20 feet, for this it's 15 feet, so on and so forth. But I do know that we, you know, that as much as I am frustrated by it, it is the current rule until we change it. And on top of that, though, I do want to say that it's almost too bad that we would just kind of like dismiss it as nothing, because it would kind of imply that that the zoning of the future is going to happen regardless of the context around it, which would actually mean that it's really resulting in the demolition of existing structures along the avenue, which is a huge sustainability concern in my mind in terms of trying to be more environmentally aware of just the embodied energy of those structures as well as their current uses. So I think it's an interesting dichotomy of choice and preference of where our values are if we have to demolish an entire block to bring it into compliance with this. So I guess I'm just waxing a little philosophical about what the implications of this are in the future, and thinking maybe the commission needs to tackle setbacks based on underlying zoning, at least to have a maximum, perhaps, instead of allowing other structures to pull them back even farther than what you would require or want in that zoning district going forward. But for now, this is kind of the way I'm looking through it.
Very good. Is there any further discussion here? All right, then we have a motion and a second on item C, the front yard setback. And clerk, please call the roll.
Caprini?
No.
Smiley?
No.
Lipke-Pierre?
No.
Marwa?
No.
Meyer?
Aye.
Olson?
Aye.
Sweezy?
No.
So that's 6 no's and 1 yes. So that fails.
All right, that motion fails. And I also, we need to understand, thank you, Lisa, we need to have an affirmative motion to deny the CUP for height, as it were. So I would entertain a motion from someone to deny item A of CUP for height.
Can we finish item E first?
Why don't we do the CUP for height first, just because site plan encompasses some of these others. I guess it doesn't encompass height. Yeah, sure. Item E is fine.
Okay.
We also need to finish item C because that failed as well.
Oh, you're right. Okay. Yep. All right. Why don't we do item E then, and then we'll circle back here.
Okay.
Thank
Yeah, I
you.
just think it makes more sense to figure out whether item E is going to be approved, and then you can have a motion to deny all the ones that didn't get approved. But
very good. Very good.
Okay, so I move to approve item E, site plan review with the 6 stated conditions in accordance with staff recommendations.
All right. We have a motion to approve site plan review. Do we have a second, Commissioner Olson?
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second, Commissioner Meyer.
Yeah, you know, I didn't hear what the objections are to any of these, so I'd be interested to hear what other commissioners have against this one.
Very good. Commissioner Peter.
Hi, yeah, just a comment on item E. You know, without approving the conditional use permit for height and not approving the variance setback, there's really no way to approve the site plan as proposed. It would need to be significantly altered to meet those standards to the point that it would essentially be a new application probably at that point. So approving the site plan without those applications is kind of a fruitless exercise at this point if those applications don't pass.
Yeah. Thank you, Peter. Commissioner Luke-Peter.
Yeah, I was actually gonna say that as well, and say that I hope in the future plan we actually see where garbage recycling and compost is accommodated on the site in a realistic way. And yeah, so that's what I was gonna say.
Very good. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve site plan if we want to move forward on that motion, or if we don't, given the intertwining of items A and C, we could field a withdrawal. Commissioner Luke-Peter.
Just really quickly, Peter, then given the fact that it really negates item E, would you just suggest that we return this item, or would you just recommend we either approve or deny it based on its current merits, and then they can resubmit with their updated application in the future?
I think a denial would probably make most sense at this point. You could also continue that application if you wanted the applicant to make modifications to meet those other application standards for the setbacks, but those are the sort of options, I think.
Yeah, I think denial and then considering a new site plan with a new application makes more sense. Just continuing indefinitely doesn't really make any sense. Continuing to a date certain doesn't make sense.
So I'm willing to withdraw the motion if it's a moot point, and we can move on to the denial.
All right, we'll accept the withdrawal of the motion to approve item E, site plan. Would anybody like to make a motion to deny items A, C, and E? Commissioner Luke-Peter.
Motion to deny items A, C, and E.
Could I get a second? Commissioner Smiley.
I second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Thank you for the group effort on getting me to some sort of Robert's Rules sense here. All right, clerk, please call the roll.
I already, that's what I told you, because you were asking.
Smiley.
Aye.
Luke-Peter.
Aye.
Marwa. Marwa. We lost Marwa, I think. Meyer.
No.
Olson.
No.
And Sweezy.
Aye.
So that's 4-2.
All right, that motion carries, and that concludes our business with item number 11 and all of our discussion items. Kimberly, are there any updates?
One update for you, the built form regulations are going to the Biz Committee of the City Council tomorrow afternoon. So you all put a lot of time and a lot of meetings and work into that. I will report back on the conclusion when we meet for Committee of the Whole on Thursday, but I believe that meeting is tomorrow at 1:30. And that's all I have.
Very good. That meeting is tomorrow. Fabulous. Thank you for that update, and thank you all. Meeting is adjourned.